So how classes are managed by the DOM and what options do we have? This is gonna be the topic of this lecture. Classes are also attributes and attributes are nodes, and you know that from the previous lecture. Classes can be assigned to any HTML element, and the elements can also have more than one classes. It's very usual, right? Now, how do we use HTML classes? We use the classes to style the HTML. In the CSS, we code the class selectors to select the HTML by the classes, and then we simply style them, right? So the classes are mostly used for a styling purpose. Now, the DOM has full access to the HTML classes. DOM can add, remove, replace, and modify them. And when DOM does class manipulation, CSS changes itself. In other words, the styles which are applied using the class selectors are modified or changed. You will experience by yourself in a couple of minutes, and you will realize the class manipulation is an essential part of the DOM. It's a wonderful thing. Now, to work with the classes or to manipulate classes, DOM provides a bunch of methods and a single property. The class name is a property, and then we have 5 different methods: add, contains, replace, remove, and toggle. So these are the tools we have to manipulate classes. And we're going to walk through this entire list one by one and learn to code them. But first, I need to present the HTML we will be working on. In the HTML, I only have 2 divs, and both of them are assigned a same class, class active. And here are the selectors I will be using in this lecture. Here I have some accessory CSS, and here is the active class selector. So this selector is applied or working at this moment to the HTML. It will give the blue border to the HTML. And I also have a warning class with red border, a hidden class. When this class is applied, the element disappears. Shown class gonna get the element back on the front end, and the text color class gonna change the text color of the text. So at this stage, only the active class is applied to the HTML. In the browser, that would be the output, blue borders from the class active. So let's now move on. Like I said earlier, when we manipulate classes, we actually start modifying and changing the CSS because classes are used in the CSS for styling the HTML. So the first and the straightforward tool that we have to read and write classes is the property class name. This property gets or sets classes. Get means read and set means write. So you can do both the operations, read and write. Now let's say to the first div element, I want to remove the active class and will apply the warning class. So in the JavaScript, I have already selected both the divs, and to the first div, I will call the class name property. Into the property, I will assign warning class. That's it. Now the warning class gonna override the active class. When we refresh the page, you will see the difference. You see the red border coming from the warning class, and here in the DOM document, you can see the warning class overrode itself to the active class, right? The important thing to remember here is that this class name property gonna override the previous classes. You can also use the class name property to put multiple classes. Now let's say I also want to add the text color class to the div. I will put a space in between, just like we do in the HTML, and then the name of the class I want to add. So now we're adding 2 classes at the same time, and that means text color selector in the warning selector become active on the first div. So let me refresh the page, and now you can see the text color is turned into red. And in the DOM document, you can also see both the classes are added, right? The property can also be used to get or to read the classes. Now let's say I want to read the classes belongs to the second div. So I can call the property like this. Now the property gonna return the classes of the second div. So let's refresh the page and check the console. Now you can see the second div has an active class which is returned by the property. So that was the class name property. It's a good property and easy to use. The only disadvantage with this property is that it overrides the previous classes. And to overcome this override issue, we can use the add method of the class list. The class list is also a property, but it comes with several different useful methods. For example, to the class list, we can call add, and add gonna add one or more classes without overriding the previous ones. So let's see how do we code add method of the class list property. When we apply a class list property to the element, it returns all the classes of the element, and then they call a method. So the method basically works on the result provided by the class list property. So let me first show you the output of the class list property, only the class list property. So in a console log, we can call class list to the first. So the class list property gonna get all the classes of the element. As we refresh the page, so you can see the property returns both the classes warning and text color. So the class list property provides a list of the classes, and the methods like add, contains, remove, toggle work on the list provided by the class list property. And now using the add method, I want to add a text color class to the second div. So to the second div, I will call the class list property first, and then method add. And the class I want to add is text color. So there is no override thing. The text color class gonna add itself after the active class. So as we refresh the page, you will see the difference. The text color is red, and to the DOM document, you can see the text color class is added and the active class is still there, right? So that was the add method of the class list property. Now the second method is contains. Contains, as the name suggests, is an investigative method, and it will check if the class exists or not. The return type is a boolean value, true or false. Now let's say I want to find out if the first div contains the class warning or not. So to the first div, I will call first the class list property and then the contains method. To the method, I will pass the name of the class I want to investigate. Warning. The output would be true because in a previous stage we added the class warning to the first div. So let me refresh the page, and now in the console you can see the true is returned. So contains is a boolean method and it can be used with conditionals if statements. So that was the contains method, and after the contains we have replace method. The replace method is gonna simply replace the old class with the new one, and it takes obviously two arguments, two classes, new class and the old class. Now let's say we create another class with name text color black. So using this class we can apply black text color to the element. So here we are adding the text color red to the second div, and now I want to replace the text color red with the text color black using the method replace. So to the second div, I will call the replace method. The first argument is the old class, which is a text color. In the second argument is the replacing class, which is a text color black. So we are replacing red with black. So let's make a refresh, and you can see the text color is now black. And to the DOM document, you can also see the class is added, right? Text color black. So that was the replace method, simple and straightforward. Now the next method is remove. So using this method, you can simply remove one or many classes. It can take a class as argument or several classes as argument. So our second div has classes. Let me show you. So it has two classes, active class and the text color class. So using the method, I can choose to remove any one of them or both of them. So I can simply call the remove method to the second div like this. And if I want to remove only the active class, so I will provide the name as argument. And if I want to remove both the classes, so I will provide the name of both of the classes like this. Now both the classes are removed. So let me make a refresh, and now you can see both the classes are removed from the second div. Here you can see the second div without any class. So that was a remove method. Now the last method on our list is toggle. It's an important and interesting method. I put it to the end of the list because it needs more discussion. So the method name is toggle. And what does it do? What does toggle mean? Toggle simply means to switch between two different options. That is toggle, like on and off, true and false, 1 and 0, right? So there should always be two different options and you will switch between them. It's a very practical thing in programming, and I'm sure you have seen some toggle implementation where you switch between two different options. For example, you have definitely seen the light and the dark mode on the website. So it's an example of toggle where you switch between two different modes, two different options. So the toggle method implements the class toggle. If the class is there, it will remove the class. If the class is not there, it will add the class, right? So a single class gonna toggle itself. It removes and adds, removes and adds. So to give you a better understanding of that, I need to work with the events. And you know the events we are going to cover in the last lecture of this course. But here I just need to code an event, a click event, in order to give you the better understanding of this method. And I want you to put focus on the toggle method, the use of the toggle method. You can just ignore everything else. I need a button to code an event on it. And now in the JavaScript, I will first select the button using the get element ID method, and the ID of the button is btn. Now to the button, I will call the event listener. I'm going to register the event, which is click. And when the event is raised, we need to handle it using the event handler. So the event click is registered to this button, and when the click is performed, this function is called. Now in this function, to the first div, I will call the class list. To the class list, I will call the toggle. And here I want to toggle the class hidden. So now when the class hidden is not added to the div, toggle method gonna add it. And when the class is added to the div, the toggle method gonna remove it. So it's an add and remove toggle of the class. So let me refresh the page. Now here we have the button, and let me open the document, and you can see to the first div there is no hidden class added. So as I click on this button, the hidden class is gonna add itself to the div, and hidden means this div gonna disappear. So let me click on the button, and now you can see the hidden class is added. First div is totally disappeared. So now the hidden class is added, and when I click on the button again, toggle gonna remove this class, and when it is removed, you will see the first div again. So let me click on the button, and here you can see the div appears, and it will work like this. So it's a toggle. Right? I hope you got better understanding of this method now, the toggle method. So that was the toggle method, the last method on our list. So dear listeners, now you know how to use DOM to manipulate classes, and I believe you are now ready to move forward to take the next lecture. In the next lecture, you will learn to apply CSS via JavaScript. I will see you there.